Japanese, pasta, French toast. Yeah, we ate that in Mexico. But we also had lots of traditional Mexican dishes as well. So let's get into today's topic, everything that we ate in Mexico, part 1, some of which might surprise you. In my video where I talk about the 3 hotels that we stayed at in Quintana Roo, I mentioned that 2 of the hotels had restaurants. So check out that video if you want to see which hotel was our favorite, and surprisingly, it did not have a restaurant. So this is part 1 of a 2-part video series where I focus solely on what we ate in Cancun. Stay tuned for part 2, which will show you everything that we ate in Playa del Carmen and Isla Mujeres. When we arrived in Cancun, we headed straight for our hotel. Our room, it wasn't ready yet, so we headed upstairs to the hotel restaurant that is located on the 2nd floor. The restaurant wasn't a very big space, but it was adequate and it was nicely decorated, just like the hotel. The staff were friendly, but they spoke very little English, but that was fine. We don't speak much Spanish, but the menu was in English and we were able to order a few items. So one thing to note is that if you are a Diet Coke drinker like I am, you'll want to order Coke Light. That's what it's called in Mexico. But I opted for a margarita instead. One of the things I wanted to try in Mexico was mole sauce. I'd never had it before. So I ordered chicken enmolada with mole sauce, and it was okay. I'm not a huge fan. It was the only time I tried mole on the trip, but I would definitely try it again when we go back. We also ordered jumbo coconut shrimp with a mango sauce. Now this was game-changing for me. I love shrimp, but not coconut shrimp. I've just never cared for coconut. And my mom used to make German chocolate cake when I was little, and she would sprinkle coconut on top, and I would scrape all of the coconut off of it. And for the longest time, I wouldn't touch anything coconut related. I even hated the smell of coconut suntan lotion and sunscreen. But maybe my tastes are finally entering adulthood at age 53 because I now like coconut milk in my green curry, and we can add coconut shrimp to the mix too. The mango sauce was also very good, not too spicy, very well balanced, and almost a honey-like consistency. Dawn had shrimp tacos, and they came in this adorable taco stand that was made out of metal and wood. I tried one of his tacos, and it was very tasty. It had a really nice avocado crema, and then something akin to yum yum sauce. As I've said in one of my other videos, the fish we tried throughout our trip, especially shrimp, was mostly breaded and fried at most places we ate at. We also had breakfast a few times at our Cancun hotel. Now, the first day, because of the language barrier, I didn't realize that continental breakfast came with a piece of yummy French toast. It was a really soft bread, more like a brioche that was lightly fried and sprinkled with cinnamon sugar. A little skimpy on the syrup, but the French toast was absolutely amazing. So I ended up ordering the pancake breakfast, which came with eggs and bacon. And I asked them to scramble my eggs. And they were good, but they looked like a rice cake. The pancakes, not great. Definitely not like you would find in the United States. They were rubbery and bland. And I noticed when going into various grocery stores throughout our trip that there was very little in terms of boxed pancake mixes. I just don't think pancakes are very big in Mexico. And I am not a huge fruit person, have never cared for fruit. While most people describe fruit as sweet, most of it tastes very tart to me. I remember my grandparents paying me when I was little, I think the going rate was $0.25, to eat fruit. Both sets of grandparents tried to get me to eat bananas to no avail. And when I was a kid and I had mono, even my godmother tried to get me to eat a piece of fruit. 1 piece a day before I could go out and play. Well, our Cancun hotel served up a big plate of fruit, but they also topped it with honey, granola, and sprinkled that coconut on top. And that combo actually played really well with one another, and I ended up eating more fruit than I thought I would. And I do like raspberries and blackberries. So that was the food at our hotel. It was very yummy, tourist pricing, but that's to be expected, but still very good. Our first full day in Mexico was spent partly at the U.S. consular, as we needed to get that one and the same affidavit taken care of before our visit to the I&M for our temporary residency cards. And as we were taking an Uber to the consular, our Uber driver pointed to a small taco stand next to the consular building and told us that they had very good tacos. So after our consular visit, we walked over to the taco stand. Both places were located inside the hotel zone. Don had a steak quesadilla. So let's talk about beef for a minute. So I had read that beef tastes a little bit different in Mexico than it does in the United States, and that it takes some getting used to. And that's true. There's a couple of exceptions, and I'll get into that. When I tried Don's steak quesadilla, the beef tasted a bit off, like beef that has maybe gone a day past its sell-by date. It's really the only way that I can describe the taste. Don said it tasted fine. I had chorizo and shrimp tacos, which were both excellent. I love chorizo, but I never really know which kind to get to make dishes at home. So let me know in the comments below what kind of chorizo I need to buy to make tacos. And both tacos at our hotel and the taco stand, they were small, more like a street taco size, on what tasted like masa or corn flour tortillas. I love making my own tortillas with masa when I make mahi-mahi tacos at home. We knew that our visit to the I&M the next day, it could be an all-day affair. Our facilitator told us to bring drinks and snacks, as there would be a lot of waiting, and he was right. So let's talk about the snacks. Let's start with Doritos. Don and I both love Doritos, and when we opened the bag of Doritos and took a bite, we were not expecting a subtle taste of jalapeno. Don and I have had regular Doritos, spicy Doritos, ranch Doritos, but we have never tasted Doritos like this. I thought they were delicious. And just like convenience stores in the United States, the convenience stores we visited in Mexico, mostly Oxxos, were loaded with chips and cookies and sodas and tons of other junk food, a lot of which just didn't look all that appetizing to me. Although we like it, I try not to bring a lot of processed, sugary cookies and snacks into the house. Most of them are filled with high fructose corn syrup, which is bad in general, but it's very bad for Don's gout. There were also a lot of snacks in Oxxo that I just had never seen or heard of, and it was rather overwhelming. We did find a couple of cookies that we really liked, one of which is called Chokis. So the picture on the outside looks like Chips Ahoy, and they were similar in taste but thicker, and the chocolate was better. They were really good processed chocolate chip cookies. And it might be a good thing that I can't find them here in the United States, not even at the nearby Latin food store. And believe me, I have looked. Don and I had one special or fancy meal in Mexico. We were feeling sushi for dinner in Cancun, and we picked Ryoshi. It's a Japanese restaurant located in Plaza La Isla, where all of the fancy luxury stores are located. Now, this wasn't a shopping trip, and we're working on paying down our debt, so I had to fight the urge to drift into Dior and Prada, which we had to walk by in order to get to Ryoshi. The restaurant was beautiful, and we were sat at a table facing the bay. Now, I absolutely love eating at a restaurant that is on the water. It makes for a very pleasant experience. And although the food was very good, what wasn't pleasant was the constant hovering of the wait staff. They would stand a couple steps back from the table, and as soon as you would put your fork down, they would pounce. Is everything okay? Can I get you something else? I mean, I like good service, but this was a bit overbearing. But I think that was probably the only negative other than the bill. It was expensive. But a restaurant like that would have been probably twice what we had paid had it been located in the United States. So what did we order at Ryoshi? The menu was tapas or small plate style. We both love eel, so we got a couple of orders of unagi, which was amazing. The eel was so tender and it just melts in your mouth. We also got the short rib gyoza, and it was good, but it was an interesting mix of flavors, and I'm not sure it entirely worked together, as I feel the longer you braise short rib, the more complex the flavors deepen. And while I love short rib served over egg noodles, the harder contrast of the dumpling just wasn't quite right. But what was right was the Wagyu skewers. Holy smokes. Okay, remember when I said the beef tastes different in Mexico with a couple of exceptions? Well, Wagyu is one. This meat was so buttery and tender that we ended up ordering another skewer. The rolls were pretty good. I ended up getting a shrimp tempura roll topped with, you guessed it, eel. We also ordered tuna tostadas. Well, Don liked them. I really didn't care for them. I'm not a big fan of tostadas, and when I eat tuna, I prefer it poke style or spicy and tucked in a roll. The drinks were also pretty good. I had a spicy margarita. The meal was around $250 USD, so quite expensive, but very enjoyable. The next day in Cancun was our I&M visit, which I did a whole other video on. So please check that one out if you're wondering how we obtained our temporary Mexican residency. So our facilitator recommended a place for salads once we were done at the I&M, which was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was within walking distance and a really cute part of Cancun. Lots of residential and restaurants around. Unfortunately, we never made it to his recommended restaurant, and we ended up going to a place next door. And I'm not going to attempt to butcher the name of this restaurant. We sat down, we ordered drinks, and then we realized that we were in the wrong restaurant. But the food looked really good, and we were starving. I had the Baja shrimp tacos and decided to try a vegetarian taco as well. I got the baked sweet potato taco. It was tasty but a bit mushy. I think I was expecting the sweet potato to be roasted. Not sure how I got that in my head other than it's how I usually prepare and like sweet potatoes. Dawn got the Baja fish taco and a steak taco, and I wish I had tried them, but again, these were street taco sized, so I didn't want to eat half of his lunch by just taking a bite. I also ended up getting another spicy margarita, which was super tasty at this restaurant too. The food was very fresh, and I think our entire bill came out to $20 USD, quite the contrast to the previous night's dinner. Our last meal in Cancun before heading to Playa del Carmen was an Uber Eats order. I wanted to try ordering from Uber Eats so I could compare prices to back home and see how the experience would be. So I opened up the app, I ordered everything in English, I added our hotel's address, and I chose to meet the driver at the outside gate of the hotel. And then I paid with our credit card in pesos. We ended up ordering from a restaurant at the other end of the hotel zone. And at this point, we didn't realize just how far the zone stretched and that the Uber Eats driver would be coming on a motorcycle. He looked pretty frazzled when he arrived. I felt so bad for him. But when he got to our hotel, he commented, yeah, it was far. We ended up ordering from a place called Super Salads. I had a teriyaki chicken bowl with brown quinoa, cucumber, sesame tostadas, I think they were kind of crumbled on top, cilantro, and chive and ginger dressing. And I ate that entire bowl. It was so delicious. Don ended up getting a Swiss chicken sandwich combo with ranch dressing, and he said the chicken was pretty good. It was breaded. He really enjoyed the soup, although we don't know what was in it. It was some kind of broth is all we know. Don's soup and sandwich was 204 pesos, which is around $10, and my bowl was 229 pesos, so that was around $11, $12. And with tip, tax, and delivery fees, we ended up paying 584 pesos, which at the time was around $29. Had we ordered the same thing in Tampa, our bill would have been doubled easily. So that's all of the meals that we ate in Cancun. Stick around for part 2, which is coming shortly. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this content, as it helps my channel grow. Until next time, hasta luego, my friends.